Hello and welcome to episode 6 of Jen's Musings. I am, as always, your host, Jen. Today's musings will be about hard-headed Instacart drivers, bad drivers I've seen on my street and on my Lyft rides, working the overnight shift, and more. So, last week on Friday, I was ordering Instacart, some groceries, and the driver texted like several times, and because I had not heard my phone, like I hadn't turned it up, I had it turned quiet um, while I was doing something that I needed it to be quiet in my apartment for, and I hadn't turned it back up, and they were texting me and I didn't know they were texting me. My instructions say do not text me. My instructions say in big capital letters, call me and I will come get my food. And then it says, do not leave my items outside. They will be stolen if you do. It also says that I'm disabled and that to give me time to get down my steps, that is the reason why I need you to call me on my phone. And they ignore all of it and want to leave my stuff unattended out front. There's a bar next door, basically downstairs from me, and a laundromat on the corner where some very unsavory individuals hang out, and they will steal my stuff. They will either steal entire bags of groceries, they will steal stuff out of my grocery bags, they will steal all of my groceries. And I have repeatedly told people not to leave my items unattended outside, so please let me come get my stuff from you. That to hand me my stuff in my hands. Otherwise, it's going to get stolen. So, my last probably 3 times of getting Instacart, I've had to get a refund because they've let my items get stolen. And so, this on Friday was the 3rd time. And so, I'm waiting for the stuff. I'm waiting for them to call. And like I said, they texted. And my texts, I didn't hear it. And they didn't call. The only reason I caught this driver, like the only reason I even knew that they were that they had attempted to drop my stuff off, is because I saw the app. Like I was looking through my phone and I got like the notifications, and there was a notification from the app that the driver texted or whatever, and that it said, well, not even the notification from my text, but when I went to the Instacart app, it had said my delivery was completed, is what happened. And I'm like, what the heck? So I go down here to go get my stuff, and the driver is gone, and some of my stuff is sitting there. I had to get a refund because they let these people steal most of my groceries, and there was like half a bag of groceries sitting there. And so I'm talking to the Instacart customer service, who is telling me that their drivers are not supposed to do that, and that if you have instructions, they're supposed to follow them. And if you have a place where your stuff can get stolen, and you put that on your delivery notes, they're not supposed to ignore it. And then that they have a black mark they can put on their account. They can take, stars away, so they're not like in the highest tier of shopper or whatever tier shopper they're on. They will drop down, and they will lose the money that I'm refunded for them delivering my stuff. So whatever I paid for my order and their tip and whatnot, I get it all back. And they then lose that money. So it's enough of a mark. But like, for whatever reason, it's a lot that they do, but it's not enough to deter them from keep doing it. Because they get in this mentality of like it is with DoorDash, Uber Eats, and that kind of thing, where you have to get volume of orders, and you have to rush and hurry up and leave, and you can't wait for people, and it's going to make you get less orders if you wait, and they will rush, and they will leave things, and they will ignore directions when they're not supposed to. And even with DoorDash, the DoorDash customer service and everything, Grubhub, Uber Eats, they've even told me they're not supposed to ignore instructions like it will be stolen if you leave it. If I select hand it to me as my type of delivery, they cannot try to do it contactless. And yet, because they're tied to how much volume of orders that they get, that's how they make their money, of course they will leave your stuff. And they'll just text and all of the things. But, like, that's more of a thing on those than it's supposed to be with Instacart, because of the way they get paid and the way the incentives are with Instacart are not the same as DoorDash. But since a lot of these Instacart shoppers are DoorDash drivers, they have that mentality of that it's the same way, and they will act accordingly. And until Instacart dings them harder to where it will be enough of a deterrent for them to stop, they're going to keep doing it. And their biggest customer base of disabled customers who can't necessarily physically go grocery shop suffer for it. So I was really angry, but I did report them and I got my money back. And then on Saturday, I ordered some more groceries because I didn't have a choice. We needed things to cook and I had to get it, and I couldn't go to the store, and my boyfriend had to go somewhere, so I couldn't just. So I ordered the Instacart order, and I used my Instacart credits from the refund. And that driver brought one of those big boxes that you can, because I got my stuff from Aldi's. And at Aldi's, you can pack the groceries in a box. But my order is marked as I am disabled, and I can't get my stuff up the stairs. And then you get a big box of groceries. Luckily for me, I take my, I have like a cloth bag, or like a cloth bag and a plastic bag from Aldi's that I take down to the downstairs to the, get the groceries in case my bags rip, or they've packed one bag really way too heavy and I can't carry it and that kind of thing. And they often use those paper bags that break real easy and they overload them. So I take my cloth and plastic Aldi shopping bags with me, and then I have one other black shopping bag, the cloth reusable ones. And so I have two cloth reusable ones and a plastic one. And so I had I had the black cloth reusable and the other cloth reusable Aldi one. And I took those down. And I'm glad I did, because he had a box, and there was no way I was carrying that big box with every heavy item that I ordered all in one box. There was no way I was carrying that. So, and I'm talking about, I had 2 sodas, some cranberry juice, ice cream, canned goods. There was no way in the crap I was carrying that up a flight of stairs while being disabled and needing to use the railing to support myself while I walk. So I was glad I had my bags, and I took all the stuff and I put them in bags, and I carried the bags up that way, and it was much easier. And then at the top of the stairs I had the walker there, so then I could put the bags on the walker and then roll my groceries the rest of the way home, versus having to carry that far. So I made it as easy as possible for myself after getting it from the door, but that's the hard part, is getting it from the door to up my stairs. But I made it as easy as I could on myself. But I just don't know what these drivers are thinking about, these shoppers are thinking about when they do certain things. And it's like, you have your phone the entire time you're in the store. Why would you, and you're looking at it as you're seeing what I ordered so you can go get it. Why are you ignoring my instructions? They're dead in your face while you're seeing what I bought so you can go to that part of the store and go get it. Like, I have my list of groceries is on your phone. You have to be looking at your phone at my list of groceries to shop my groceries. Therefore, my delivery instructions is in your face the entire freaking time you're shopping. So when you get the stuff to bag my stuff up, why are you getting a box? And you clearly see it's labeled, I am disabled. And I have stairs. Like, not understanding. Anyway, so I got my stuff, and it was a much better shop than the previous other 3 that I had before that. And I didn't have to get a refund that time. And he did decently. So I was just frustrated because I feel stuck with Instacart because of the nature of the way that I need to shop. Sometimes I need to spend my food stamps. Sometimes I need to get my stuff right away. I need to be able to pay a certain way. And not all of the places that you can get delivered groceries will allow you to pay with every kind of way that I need to pay. Like, some of you cannot use your EBT on the delivery item, on the delivery groceries. Some of them won't let you use PayPal. Other ones don't let you use Google Pay. Some won't take certain credit cards. So, like, I can't necessarily shop at that particular place because the card I have is not one that they accept. Or another thing that happens is whenever they're out of stock in something, instead of like refunding it or whatever, they will ship it to you. And if I needed that the day that I was shopping, which I normally do, I cannot wait for shipping. And then I have issues with the shipping. This is a major one with Walmart. I have had a lot of issues with their shipping when my grocery orders go from being delivery to being shipping. Something gets lost, the shipping is delayed. It's a bad thing, and so I don't like to do that. And so I feel kind of stuck with Instacart. And it sucks because as somebody who is disabled who needs to be able to shop online, this should not be a thing. But it ends up being a thing, and I hate it. So that's my thing with Instacart. Now when I was getting my Instacart stuff, I saw this car go flying down my street at 35 miles per hour. Or 40 miles per hour, actually, it was. 40. My street's a 25. Why would you think that that's acceptable? To be going that much over the speed limit on a slow side street. A residential street. Not only that, but I live there's a school at the corner of my street. I can walk a single block and be at a school. Why in the heck? Like, why in the heck, bro? Why are you driving that fast by a school? And I know it's summertime, but like, we still live by a school. And even if it's not school, not in session, so you don't got to be going 20. Like, when the kids are at the playground playing, you need to be going 20. Even if school is not in session. And then, even if you don't need to be going 20, the speed limit is still only 25 on a residential street like mine. So why are you going 40? Like we're the freaking expressway. Like we're the freaking faster street. Like, it doesn't make sense. So I don't get it. I don't. And then when today, when I went to go get my Taco Bell breakfast, I saw this car fly down my street and then just blow their horn at the intersection and then just go flying. I don't even know if they waited for the light. And they were honking and they just were flying through the intersection, and I don't even know if they waited for that light to change. It was insane. And I'm talking about the most reckless driving I've ever seen in my life on a residential little slow street, side street, making no sense whatsoever. And it didn't make sense. So the other thing that I was going to talk about is when working overnight. When you work overnight, typically there is not much staff, and you may have some nights where you don't have a security guard, depending if your hotel is, trying to cut costs and save money. You may only have certain days, like you may only have 3 or 4 days of the week on, like, towards the weekend where you have security guards. And so sometimes it is just you in that hotel lobby. Just you in the whole hotel. You are the only staff. And it is ridiculous to think that that is an acceptable way to do business, because you automatically put that staff member in harm's way because they're the only one in the hotel besides however many guests you have that night. Now, for instance, if you have a hotel with 150 rooms and it's 80% full, you have 90 people in that. You have 85 people in that hotel and one staff. That is not safe. Then, not only that, but you are the only one who can go get the items that people need. If somebody asks you for towels, you're the only one who can go all the way at the back of the hotel to the laundry and get towels if you do not have any in the supply closet or in the office where our supply thing is. And that does not work, especially not if you are like me, disabled and walking with a walker, having to do that much walking to get things that's not going to work. It's not a good look. And if any emergencies happen, that person has to deal with the entire emergency alone. There is no management on in the hotel. There is no security guard in the hotel. You have to do that by yourself. It's not safe. And it's even less safe for a woman who walks with a walker. A disabled woman who needs a walker to walk, that is very, extremely, highly unsafe. And then there are the irate guests who will see said female disabled worker and nobody else and decide that that's a great time to clown. That's a great time to show their behind. That's a great time to act up, get belligerent, start a confrontation, and think that that staff member is not going to be able to do anything about it. However, this is why we always know what the number is for the police. Like, this is why we have both the emergency number, the 911, and the non-emergency number, because we can call them and they can come. Because that is how you have to do it when you're by yourself. So, yeah, I've had to call 911 on guests, have them physically removed from the hotel, because they're not leaving when I say they need to leave, and they're just being a belligerent butt of a Karen, entitled jerk, and having a fit about something I have zero control over, demanding a manager when I have told them 11 million times that there is no manager until the morning. Like, manager comes at 8 o'clock, period. And I've said it 15 times to this person, and they are still insisting on a manager. I said, good luck with that. There's not a manager. You can come back in the morning. My manager will be here at 7 to let me go home. When I get done with work, you get to go see a manager. That's I don't have a manager until the sun comes up. Okay? So, and then if it's a weekend, it can be even worse, because they may have to wait until Monday to speak to a manager if my manager has a weekend off. So, I get a lot of very angry, irate guests when I'm overnight by myself. And even when I have a security guard, I am often having to have my security guard have people leave. Get rid of angry, belligerent people who are just yelling in my face and refusing to leave the hotel because until they get what they want. We're not doing that. And it's a whole entitled Karen thing. It's literally entitlement. They're literally being a Karen. And it's frustrating. And then there are so many times where it's a thing that nobody can do for them until the morning time. Like, they have something that's on their bill and they need it removed. They want to see that money immediately. Not happening on a Saturday night at midnight. Like, it's 3 o'clock in the morning on Sunday morning now because it was Saturday, but the time flip. You're not getting a refund at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. on a Saturday or a Sunday, whatever. It's the weekend. The bank is not open. And even if it's opening on Saturday, it's not opening until 9 a.m. on Saturday. So, you not getting your money back until after the bank's open. And then, again, we have to explain how it takes several business days for the bank to process their refund. The hotel does not have their money physically on site to just hand it back to them. Because you paid with a credit card. It ain't like we took cash and we can hand you your cash back. No, you paid with a credit or a debit card. That transaction got to be processed. That has to be done on business days. So if it is the weekend, that's not happening until Monday. I'm sorry. And they want to flare up and have a fit at me, and I don't have time for that. And I can't do anything about it. And they don't want to leave. And so then I have to radio my security guard. Say, hey, can you come up in the front? I have a very, I'm having a problem with the guests, and I probably need you to have them, escort them from the hotel, yada, yada. And then they will come, and the guard will come and help remove them. And that's if I have a guard. Because like I said, sometimes I don't. And at that case, then that's call the police and have them remove the person. And management's supposed to be on call, but they are not always on call. Sometimes stuff happens to their phone, or they're sleeping and they just don't hear it, or they're in their bathroom and their phone is not, and then they can't hear it, or it's in the bathroom but it's, on the counter and it's not turned loud, and then they have the shower running type stuff. Like, that doesn't help me being alone at the hotel, and this thing is happening, this emergency is happening, and then you're not having your phone to a point where you can help me with the emergency. So, but anyway, that's the thing about the overnight shift. This is why you get the shift differential, because people do not want to work overnights by themselves with little management, little security, no real other people in the hotel with them, and a very skeleton crew kind of solo shift kind of thing happening, and then having to deal with emergencies, irate guests, and problems, and like getting supplies that it shouldn't have to be all of that. But anyway, that's working overnights at a hotel, and then like the most ridiculous things happen sometimes, and it's just, and people seem to me, like on the overnight shift, it seems like people fail to grasp the simplest common sense you learned them in kindergarten type of concepts. And it's frustrating, like things you should have learned a long time, like in second grade, and they fail to grasp this concept as grown ass adults, and it doesn't make sense. Like that they cannot book a room and check in at 4:00 in the morning. That has become the next day, and they don't understand that next day started at midnight. So at 11:59, yep, it was Saturday, but at 12 midnight, it's now Sunday. That's how that works, but people don't grasp that. And they feel like because they didn't go to sleep and the sun didn't come up yet, it's still today, when it really flipped over to tomorrow. Like, and this is a thing that I promise you learn in like second grade, when you start learning clocks and time, that the next day starts at midnight. And if you have ever been looking at your clock, at like your watch, like a smartwatch or a digital watch, at midnight, you will clearly see that it goes from saying Sunday to saying Monday at midnight. Like, or on the computer, or, you know what I'm saying, on your phone. And that's been a thing since Nokia phones in the 90s. That if you look at the time on your phone and you're looking at your clock at midnight, and it says like Sunday, June 29th, and then you're watching it, and it flips over, and it hits midnight, it flips over to Monday, June 30th. And like Tuesday night, tonight, Monday, when it's midnight later, that begins Tuesday. So July 1st. So but to fail to grasp this concept that you learn in like second grade or whatever, when you start learning about time and clocks and stuff, just not understanding that. And this is what the kind of things that people fail to understand late at night at the hotel. Another thing is that when the day changes, they fail to realize that check-in time changes. So you can check in starting at 4:00 p.m. That is my hotel's. So 4:00 p.m. and it goes until 11:59 p.m. because at midnight it flips over to the next day, and checkout time becomes 4:00 p.m. again. So it's Monday, okay? Check-in time 4:00 p.m. on Monday afternoon. When midnight hits, check-in time becomes 4:00 p.m. Tuesday afternoon, because midnight becomes Tuesday. So, but they will come at literally 4:00 in the morning and expect still to check in for immediate check-in, like right now, like as if it's still check-in time. Like, no, check-in time closed. The new check-in time is not 4:00 p.m. I cannot check you in now. And they will insist that you can, and demand that you can, and try to get you to work around it, and all of these things that they think that you're going to be able to check them in at that time, when you're telling them you absolutely cannot. It is outside of policy. You cannot. And it causes a lot of problems. And like there are a lot of these little things that people do not grasp. Working when you work overnight in a hotel, when they come late at night in the hotel, that they do not understand. And one of my least favorites is that I can't sell alcohol anymore. For retail outlets for alcohol in my city, every retail outlet has to stop selling alcohol at 9 o'clock p.m. That means Walmart, the gas station across the street, Walgreens, my gift shop in the hotel, the liquor store down the street, all of them had to stop selling alcohol at 9 p.m. But they're not getting that. And because they come from somewhere where it's 2 o'clock in the morning, they think that that's everywhere, and it's not. And that's a very frustrating thing to deal with, especially when the person who wants the alcohol is drunk in the first place. Because I wouldn't go sell you no alcohol anyway if you were so inebriated you can't even walk. If you're already wasted, I'm not selling you more liquor. Anyway, even if I could sell it at midnight, I'm not selling you more liquor if you're already wasted. But they don't understand the concept of that. And they don't understand the concept of it's not forever. It's not unlimited all night long and all day long and all night long by liquor. Just because that's how you want to drink. So, the other thing that I wanted to talk about is it's a chronic illness thing. So, I suffer from various chronic illnesses, chronic pain conditions. I have a list of 19 diagnoses, but the main culprits are fibromyalgia, migraine, IBS, and plantar fasciitis. Those are my biggest culprits of chronic pain. And when I have a flare-up with those, it's like a domino effect. If my migraines are flaring up, my IBS is going to flare up, which is going to make my fibro flare up. And when my fibro flares up, that's going to make my plantar fasciitis flare up. And I don't get a reprieve from that very often. Like one of them is always acting up. One of them is always giving me issues. And none of them really go away. And so if I don't deal with the one that's the worst at the moment, it's just going to be a cascading worsening of everything. And one thing that is imperative that I do with my illnesses is keep track of them. And I have 2 devices I use to keep track of various things with my chronic illnesses. One is my smartwatch. I bought it from Flip. It was amazing. I love my watch. I don't have it nearby me right now, but it's pink. It's got a magnetic band, and then it has so many features on it. It can track my sleep, it can track my blood pressure, it can track my heart rate, it can track my activity, there's so many things. And I have another device, it's the Visible Armband 2.0, and it comes with the Visible app, and I can use it to track these kind of similar things, my heart rate, my activity, if I'm overexerting myself, which gets that from heart rate readings, and I do these like little check-ins, and it takes the check-ins and my heart rate readings, and it takes that and it gets the information of, am I overexerting myself, am I just having activity, am I at a resting stage, am I using up too much energy? Am I using a level amount of energy? It's got a whole thing with pacing that it can do, and it gives you like pace points. So it'll tell you how many pace points that you've used that day. So basically it tells you how much energy you've used, and if you're going to go over your energy reserves that day, if you're going to use up too much energy, if you're doing too much. If you go over that, your pace points, that means you're overexerting yourself. And so if you're overexerting yourself and doing too much, it lets you know that. and then you can kind of try to relax, maybe take a break or something and get that down so where you don't use up all your energy and you're not overexerting yourself anymore, and stuff like that. So, and it's based out of spoon theory. So it's very great. I do need to fix it though. I have to, something happened with the subscription payment, so it doesn't work at the moment, but I'm gonna fix that since I do have the money to be able to fix it now. And then once I do that, I will be able to use it again. But the watch is fantastic. It's doing its job while I can't use the armband. And with the watch and the armband together, that is the amount of information I need to be able to track the everything with my conditions and be able to kind of pace myself better and keep track of what's doing what and if I'm sleeping well and all of the things that I need to make sure that I'm treating my conditions properly and not overexerting myself and getting enough activity while not getting too much and getting things done that I need to and all of the things that go into having a chronic illness so that I can take care of myself the best way possible. And if I know that a certain thing reading is too high, that means probably I'm going to flare up, and that means I would have to, I could be able to pace myself, slow my pace down and stuff like that. So there's a wealth of information to be had from them. So that is my chronic illness thing that I learned from those two devices. And on that note, I will hope to see you in the next video. Like, subscribe, all of the things. And I'll see you next time. Bye now.